What would you do if faith and violence met at the same altar? If the quiet rhythm of a mass in Manila turned into a confrontation between mercy and rage? Before we continue, share in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is there. Let's see how far the miracles of the Virgin Mary have reached. And if you haven't yet joined our family, subscribe now, because here, each day, we witness the tender love and mighty power of the Mother of God. That morning in Quapo, the air itself seemed to hold its breath, humid, electric, waiting for something the city could not name. It was October, the feast of Our Lady of the Rosary. Father Rafael Cruz stood beneath the trembling light of votive candles, vestments already clinging to his skin. 2 decades serving at Quapo had taught him that miracles and madness often wore the same face. One only knew which after the silence settled. Crowds overflowed into the square. Vendors hawked rosaries, scapulars, and empanadas with equal devotion. Jeepneys honked hymns out of tune. Inside the church, the air shimmered with incense and sweat. Behind the altar, the statue of the Blessed Virgin glowed in candlelight. Nara wood, hand-carved, familiar. Yet that morning, there was a weight to her stillness. Raphael felt it, a gaze that reached, as if expecting something. Among the pews, Amir Hassan sat motionless. His jacket hit a blade. His breath came shallow. Memory burned behind his eyes. Brother's blood on Cotabato dust. A bullet from a gun engraved with a tiny cross. The sound of the shot never left him. The world said peace, but all he saw was hypocrisy draped in cassocks. He had come from Mindanao to Manila by bus, sleeping under bridges, eating what strangers left behind. He told himself this priest, this church, would answer for all the pain wrapped in holy words. When Raphael lifted the chalice, Amir rose too. Each step felt like a heartbeat toward vengeance. And then, the world paused. A ripple moved through the air, too subtle to name, yet everyone felt it. The candles bent backward, though no wind stirred. A scent, faintly of jasmine, spread through the nave. Raphael's eyes flicked to the Virgin's statue. Carved eyes seemed to glisten. Not move, not blink, just moisten, as if remembering compassion. Amir froze. The knife hung mid-air. The distance between them, a breath, no more. Light, not from bulbs, not from the morning sun, broke across the altar like water catching fire. Raphael shielded his face. The congregation gasped. No one screamed now. Even the crying infants fell silent. The blade slipped from Amir's hand, clattering to the marble. He dropped beside it, sobs racking his chest. His fingers stretched toward the Virgin as if reaching for a mother he never knew. Raphael, trembling, lowered the host. "Mother," he whispered, "what have you done?" The light dimmed, the air cooled again. But her face, still and wooden, carried something human now. Her lips no longer sorrowful, only knowing. When the police arrived, Amir was kneeling, eyes red but peaceful. They let him out without resistance. By noon, cameras crowded the church steps. Screens replayed the footage. The knife mid-air, then the sudden glare, then whiteness swallowing the frame. Overexposed, the technicians muttered. Could be a glare. But no one could explain why every lens failed at the same second. A vendor outside said he smelled roses. Another swore the bells rang, though no one pulled the rope. Father Raphael didn't answer reporters. He stayed in the sacristy until the crowd thinned, until the last echo of feet faded from the pews. When he stepped back into the nave, dusk had fallen. The candles guttered low. Yet on the marble floor, near the altar's base, faint light still pulsed. a soft, steady glow that refused to fade. Raphael knelt before it, heart pounding. Fear had gone. Only mercy remained.
By dawn, Manila thrummed with speculation. Headlines called it the light of Quapo. Talk shows framed it as a miracle. Skeptics named it mass hysteria. Yet in every jeepney and cafeteria, whispers persisted. Disbelief trembling beside wonder. Father Raphael hadn't slept. He lingered in the sacristy, staring at the faint burn marks on the marble floor. The memory replayed without mercy. The blade, the radiance, the stillness that felt older than time. The archdiocese sent instructions. Withhold statement. Await verification. And so the men with cameras came. Neat collars, clipped words, instruments blinking red. Among them stood Dr. Elisa Navarro, physicist and church consultant, known for dismantling false miracles. Her voice carried the precision of equations, her eyes the fatigue of someone who's seen too much certainty. She swept her UV scanner across the altar. Residual luminescence, she murmured. Possible reaction to heat or something else. The technician behind her frowned. No source detected, ma'am. They replayed the footage. Freeze frame, knife raised. Next frame, blinding light. Replay stuttered. Timestamps jumped. 12:07:31, 12:07:34. A void where the blaze had peaked, as if the world had held its breath, then forgotten it ever did. That night, Raphael walked Elisa to the door. "Do you believe?" he asked softly. "She believes in anomalies," she said, "but this," her gaze lingered on the statue, "this behaves like memory." Meanwhile, Amir sat in a small cell, head bowed. His hands trembled as he lifted a cup of water to his lips. He hadn't spoken since the arrest. When a guard offered a rosary, he recoiled. "No crosses," he muttered. Hours passed. Then, in the hush before dawn, his eyes opened. The wall opposite him shimmered, not bright, but soft, a silhouette forming, hooded, humble, dissolving with dawn. He whispered into the stillness, "I remember his blood, but not the hate." In the city beyond, strange tales multiplied. A blind vendor near Plaza Miranda claimed the air smelled of lilies. A driver swore the radio crackled with hymns, though it wasn't turned on. Faith and doubt began to breathe the same air again. Raphael returned nightly to the church. He prayed in flickering candlelight, asking not for explanation, but endurance. Days later, Elisa came back, less official, more uncertain. "Father," she said, placing a report on the table, "you should see this." Under ultraviolet light, the Virgin's carved hands shimmered, dusted in particles, shifting through every color of dawn. Her team's notation was brief: origin, unknown, non-mineral, non-synthetic, behavior, photonic anomaly. Raphael exhaled slowly. "It's not proof." "No," Elisa agreed, "but it refuses to be measured." Sunday came. She sat in the back pew, notebook in hand. At consecration, the host lifted high. Elisa's eyes blurred, tears fell unbidden, skepticism cracking like old lens glass. After Mass, she lingered at the doorway. Outside, wind swirled through the candle vendor's stand. One small wick flared sapphire, steady, unyielding, its glow echoing something the instruments had failed to define. Raphael watched in silence. The city buzzed around him, restless and unknowing. And for the first time since the attack, he did not seek an answer. He only whispered, "Not all light is meant to be explained.
Weeks passed. Manila returned to its noise, jeepneys coughing through traffic, vendors shouting beneath cracked umbrellas, politicians promising progress. Yet inside the old church of Quapo, silence carried its own rhythm. Amir's name faded from headlines, but not from whispers. Some called him possessed, others forgiven. The court scheduled his hearing, but the priesthood almost died, requested to testify, not against him, but for him. In his cell, Amir found himself staring again at the wall where the shadow had once appeared. The outline was gone, but something of it had lingered in him, a warmth he couldn't hate. When asked by the chaplain if he wanted to pray, he hesitated, then nodded. His lips stumbled over words foreign yet familiar. Hail Mary, full of grace. Father Raphael visited soon after. Through the bars, he saw not the same man who had lunged at the altar, but someone emptied, quiet. "I don't understand," Amir said. "Why would she come for me?" Raphael replied, "Because you were the only one who needed to see her that way." Outside the city, Elisa was still unraveling her data. The spectrum analysis showed no natural explanation, no fluorescent residue, no projection error, no measurable source. Her report ended with a confession she hadn't intended to write. Observed anomaly behaves as if responding to intent, not light, but mercy reacting to fear. She closed the laptop and stared at the screen's reflection, realizing her own face looked older, but calmer. Then came the testimonies. A boy selling flowers near the church claimed that every evening since the incident, he smelled jasmine, though none grew nearby. A woman who had once mocked the faithful started leaving a single white rose at the Virgin's feet. And the parish donations, coins, letters, folded prayers, tripled overnight. But the most unexpected conversion wasn't among the believers. It was Elisa, once the scientist who measured every mystery. She asked to attend daily mass, quietly at first, then kneeling beside the very marble she once scanned for photonic residue. Her colleagues called it obsession. She called it return. Meanwhile, the local bishop ordered an internal inquiry. A panel of theologians interviewed witnesses, reviewed data, and questioned Father Raphael's objectivity. "Father," one asked, "if it was divine, why save a sinner and not the priest?" Raphael smiled faintly. "Maybe mercy prefers the uninvited." Outside, rain poured, relentless, cleansing. Days later, the bishop himself visited the church. He walked alone to the statue, pressed his thumb to the stone and paused. His eyes flickered, not with belief, but with memory. He whispered something only Father Raphael heard. "She wept here once when I was a boy. I thought it was rain." Amir's trial came. The evidence was overwhelming, but the priest's testimony disarmed the courtroom. "I was not attacked," Raphael declared. "I was interrupted by light that forgave faster than I could forgive." The verdict surprised no one. Guilty, but commuted to psychiatric care. Yet the headlines didn't report the legal outcome. They reported something else. Priest and attacker exchange peace during Mass. For that was true. 2 months after the trial, Amir, under supervision, attended the Eucharist. When the time came for the sign of peace, Raphael turned. Their hands met, trembling, human, redeemed. No flash, no miracle.
only the steady warmth of two men unarmed by grace. And outside, unseen, the same azure flame still burned by the vendor's stall, windless, unwavering, patient.
Months later, Quapo had almost forgotten. The candles were back to normal. Wax, flickering, ordinary. But those who had been there that day carried something unexplainable, like the echo of a song they couldn't forget. Father Raphael kept a small notebook on his desk, filled with testimonies from parishioners. One entry read, "The night my husband left, I lit a candle before her statue. The flame bent sideways, toward me, and stayed." Another, shakier hand wrote, "My son came home from prison. He said a woman in blue stood at the gate." He didn't publish these, he simply underlined one word again and again: witness. Elisa visited occasionally, bringing her quiet awe and hesitant questions. "Do you ever wonder," she asked once, "if it was all in our heads, some kind of collective hope?" Raphael smiled, tired but kind. If it was, it made a sinner drop his knife. Isn't that miracle enough? Her silence lingered. Not agreement, but surrender. Meanwhile, Amir, now assigned to community service at a rehabilitation center, spent his mornings sweeping, his afternoons listening to others' stories. When asked about the apparition, he never claimed to see a woman. "All I know," he said, "is that light forgave me before I could say sorry." Some nights he dreamed again, not of gunfire or his brother's blood, but of hands lifting him from dust. He'd wake with tears, whispering a prayer he still didn't know he believed in. In late December, a storm hit Luzon. Floods swallowed the district. The church stood knee-deep in water. When the parish returned to clean, they found something strange. The statue's robes were soaked, all except the heart, dry, untouched. Raphael didn't mention it in his homily. He only said, "We all drown until someone remembers we're worth saving." Later, Elisa ran spectral imaging again, out of curiosity. No light, no residue, just water, ordinary and silent. Yet when she zoomed in on the digital image, pixels along the Virgin's heart gleamed faintly, like reflected dawn. She didn't log it. Instead, she closed her computer and went to Mass. One night, well past midnight, Raphael stayed behind after the final prayer. The church was empty, except for him and the statue. The candlelight trembled, and the city outside murmured with distant thunder. "Why him?" he whispered. "Why not the ones who serve you?" No answer. Only rain tapping the stained glass windows, soft, rhythmic, like someone gently knocking. He almost laughed. "Still not giving explanations, are you?" But when he turned to leave, the faint smell of jasmine followed him, the same scent from the night of the miracle. Outside, at the prison hospital, Amir watched the storm too. Through the barred window, lightning split the sky, and for a second he thought he saw it again. That same light washing everything clean. He pressed his palm to the glass. "Not fear," he murmured. "Not anymore." By dawn, the storm was gone. The city's streets glistened under new sun, and from a distance, the church bells began to ring, not loud, but steady, like breath. Inside the sanctuary, water had receded. Only one thing remained untouched: a single white rose at the Virgin's feet, fresh, dew-kissed, impossible. No name, no vase, no explanation, only silence that felt like prayer.
Weeks later, the city's noise returned. Vendors shouting, jeepneys honking, headlines blurring faith into politics. The story of the Quapo miracle had faded to rumor, traded between markets and buses, half believed, half forgotten, but not for those who had been marked by it. Father Raphael walked daily through the rebuilt chapel. The marble was still cracked from the flood, yet the air held a strange serenity, as though something unseen still breathed there. He'd often pause before the statue, not praying, not speaking, just listening. He thought he heard children sometimes, their laughter mingling with candle flickers. Or maybe it was only wind crossing the nave. In another part of the city, Elisa prepared to transfer abroad. Her research team had been invited to collaborate with the Vatican Observatory on unexplained phenomena, though she never used that phrase anymore. Packing her equipment, she found a memory card she didn't remember saving. Inside, one image. It was the night of the attack, time-stamped, blurred, raw. But there was something new this time. Between two frames, between the knife and the light, stood a silhouette, faint, feminine, veiled not in shadow but radiance. She leaned back, heart beat loud. The file metadata read 010703 unmodified. For a moment, she thought to delete it. Then she closed the laptop instead. Before leaving for the airport, she stopped by the church. Rain again. Manila rain, thick and silver. Raphael was lighting candles. "You're going," he said softly. She nodded. "But I keep thinking maybe I wasn't supposed to prove anything. Maybe just see." He smiled. "That's what faith is, seeing before understanding." Her hand brushed the pew and came away dry, though the roof still leaked. Meanwhile, Amir's probation ended. He didn't return to his old town. Instead, he joined the church's maintenance crew. The same floors he once stained now gleamed beneath his care. Children would wave at him, calling, "Kuya Amir." He'd laugh, though his eyes sometimes drifted to the statue. One afternoon, as he was polishing the steps, he noticed something small near the pedestal, a droplet, hardened like resin. He touched it. It shimmered gold under the light. When he blinked, it was gone. He told no one. That Sunday, the church overflowed, not with pilgrims, but ordinary families, vendors, taxi drivers. At communion, Father Raphael raised the host. The light from the broken window fell perfectly upon it, clean, unforced, like grace remembered. Amir knelt. Elisa, now halfway to her flight, felt her chest tighten without knowing why. And in that moment, something happened again. Not spectacle, not miracle, but stillness. A kind of homecoming. Later, Raphael wrote in his journal, "No apparition, no sign, just hearts made tender where they had been hard." Perhaps that is the real miracle, the ordinary made holy. He placed the journal under the altar and blew out the last candle. For a heartbeat, the smoke curled into the air, forming, some would later say, the outline of a woman's hand raised in blessing. But Raphael never looked back to see. He only whispered, "Thank you for coming again," and stepped into the rain. Outside, the puddles shimmered with reflected light, not divine, not spectral, just sunlight through broken clouds. Yet in every reflection, the same image trembled faintly. A veiled figure walking beside the city's poor, hand outstretched, carrying no sword, only peace. And perhaps that was the final grace. Not an ending, but a beginning that no camera could capture and no unbelief could erase.